as we discussed yesterday. So I showed some of one of my PC, right? So we'll see that one. Yes, you have a computer, laptop or a desktop, whatsoever it is. You have your own computer, right? So when you start your computer, so then you got a login account, right? Username, password. So username already there, and then you give a password. Then you log into the system and you can start working with your system. Okay. Where is this user information stores? You have a username in your system and then you given a password. What happened? The system authenticates your username and password. System will verify your password. Is it correct password or not? If you give wrong password, it won't say, it will say you entered a wrong password. Okay, username or password is wrong. So again you will retype. So once it is you given a correct password, system will tell yes, welcome to computer, right? So you log in successful. See, simple. So here it is. So I have a two user accounts. You can see there is a student dev and student dev 2. Two accounts are there. So first account only I'm logging. I'm giving a password. Okay. Once I given a password, enter. So what happened? See, welcome. And I got my screen. So I can able to start working with my computer. Okay. So what happened here? The system verifies my username and password. If both are correct, it authenticate the user. Both are correct means it is authentication. Then system authorize you to access your computer based on your account type. Based on your account type. So you can able to access things. For example, I'm an administrator account. I'm a administrator account. I have all permission to do anything in the system. I can install the application. I can uninstall the applications. I can change the settings. Okay. I can change the setting, hardware related or networking related or operating system related, application related things I can able to manage. Install, uninstallation, group policy settings, everything I can able to do if I'm an administrator account or if I know administrator password. If I second account is like a secondary account. Okay, I have a secondary account. I will show you that accounts here it is. So go to the control panel. I can show in different places, but one of the place is a control panel. I'm going to user accounts. See, I'm a student dev, local account, administrator, password is protected. Manage other accounts. So manage other accounts. See, it is showing another account is like this. It's a local account. It is not showing it is administrator. You can change the account type. So this is a administrator account. Okay, I'm going back once more. So this is student dev, right? So change account type. So this is administrator. At least one administrator is required. At least one local administrator is required. One local administrator is required. That's it. Okay, an account. Generally, we are creating the first account. The automatically is a administrator. If you add one more account, that is by default, it is a standard account. By default, it is standard account. What is the difference between these accounts? Administrator have complete control over the PC. So they can change any settings and access all of the files and programs stored in the PC. Change any settings and access all of the files and programs stored in this PC. Standard accounts most softwares can use most software change system settings that does not affect other users or security of this PC. As a standard account, like you log in with this account, you can use an applications. Okay, You cannot change any security setting, network security settings. You can't install, uninstall applications. You can't access all the kind of files. Your files, your profile files, you can able to access, but other user data's, secured data's, you cannot able to access it. So that is the difference between standard account and administrator. So this is an admin account. This is a standard account or standard user account. Understand, guys? Two types of accounts. Then what is this local account? What is this local account? If you see the account, it is showing local account, local account. What is meant by local account? This account information means this username and their passwords stored in this PC. Username and passwords stored in the PC. When these users are logged into this PC, who is going to authenticate? That local PC only authenticate. When I'm trying to log into this PC with this username, who will verify the username and password? This PC only, username and password. Okay. If you log in with this user account, only this PC only verify because their username and password is in the local system. That is why it is local account. Just understand what is meant by local account.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So you have your computer, you have your own username. You have a laptop or a desktop, whatsoever it is. So you have username and password, and that is your PC's local account. When you log in, your PC only authenticate your user, and based on your user account, so you can able to access the applications, softwares, or data in the system. You can able to change the settings, depends upon your access to the PCs. Okay, so that is what individual PCs I'm doing. What is meant by authentication? Verification of identity or credentials. Example, verification of username and password. If both are correct, it is authenticated. Authorization. Authorization means once you are authenticated, it is authorized to access. You will allow to access these resources, allow to access these softwares, allow to access these settings, or deny to access. Okay. So user will tell you you can access this one, you cannot access this one. So when you're accessing something like it is, you cannot access like that. Okay. It is um, you're not permitted to access, or you are permitted to access like that. Okay. That is authorization. So I told about an individual computer. Think like this. You connect these individual computers in the network, either in the offices, organizations, or maybe in internet centers. You can have a computers, individual computers connected in the network. Think like there is a 5 computers, 10 computers, 20 computers are there. Okay. So you have a computer name like a sorry. Okay. B. Actually, I will write a A, B, C, D instead of that one. I will write a PC1, PC2, PC3. But no problem. So this is one person system. So I will go with some names here. Kalyan, Miran, yes, Preeti, Email. Yeah, Shahil is small names. I just try for a small names. So I will put a Kumar. So it's quite easy. So I have 5 computers. In the first computer, I created a Kalyan user account. Okay, I'm a administrator in my organization. So first account, first computer, I take it and I create a Kalyan account so the Kalyan can able to log in. Okay, and next another computer I created a Miran. So Miran can able to log into the BPC. I created a Preeti account in CPC, Shahil in D, and Kumar in a EPC. So these people will come morning and start to open the computer and they log in. So where is the Kalyan account is there? In the PCA. The username, password is there in the PCA only. Miran account, username, password stored in the PCB. So when they are logging to the respective systems, their system will authenticate, just like your individual PCs only. And they are connected means, so they can share some information, sharing resources, sharing data. These things will happens because they are connected. Okay. If internet is facility is there, all are can able to access the internet also. No, not at all. All. Think like this. If more number of users are there, think like this, more number of users are there. I have a 300 users working on a 100 computers and 3 shifts of duty it is. Daily 3 shift duty, 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours duty. So what happened? One computer for 3 users. Then what I have to do? I have to create at least 3 user accounts in the one single computer. In 3 user account, I have to create in one single computer. Okay. In case if this computer is down, these 3 users cannot access any other because their accounts, their information is located inside. It's a difficulty, right? So it's again I have to attach one more computer or maybe if any computer is available. So I have to add those user information there. But still it is another computer. Again, once again I will do. Kalyan, for example, in APC is down. So when he came, that BPC is available. He tried to log in to the BPC with a Kalyan name. Okay. Kalyan want to access BPC, but the BPC is unable to log in. Okay, but he cannot log in. Why? Because of the Kalyan user account is not there in the B. So what it we can able to understand only in that in that computer those accounts are created. Those people only can able to access. So one user cannot log into other computers. He cannot log into other computers. He cannot manage other computers. So a user in the one system cannot log into another system. Next, if you want to log in, I have to add the account in the other computer. If 4 or 5 computers, maybe we can little bit manage. Think about 100 computers, 300 users. Each computer I have to add more than 3 users, minimum 3 users. And additionally, if in case, if anything issues occur, the person has to go to another computer. So I have to add more accounts into another computer. Okay. So that is one issue. Understand guys, this part, individual users.
Yes, yes,
Very good.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
very good. Now I got this point. For example, I have these 5 computers working. I'm actually maintaining, I'm an administrator in the organization, like a desktop support engineer or a system engineer. So my boss said, so make sure all the systems should have some firewall setting. Some firewall setting has to be implement all these file systems. So what I have to do? Of course, I have to log in into the each and every computer with the administrator account. What are the administrator account of that computer? So I have to log in with the administrator account. Then I have to change the firewall setting. Go to the my control panel, go to the Windows firewall and do the firewall setting. Okay. Or maybe one more query, like everybody's, I have to do the like a desktop settings has to be done. So make sure that's only one desktop should be maintained. All the desktop background must be same. Okay. So I have to go to each and every system, all 5 systems, I can change. It is okay because of 5 computers. I have to go to each and every PC, I do the settings. No problem. Think like you have a 10 computers. No problem. 50 computers. A little bit problem, but still I can make it. But the one day it is completely lost. Because I have to go to each and every PC, I have to log in as a local administrator account, local administrator account. Okay, I showed now. So the student dev is local administrator. They have to log in as a local administrator account. Then I have to change the settings and I have to disturb the people who are, if anybody is working on the systems, right? I have to tell, so keep one, so please give me 2 minutes. I have to log in, log out from your work and I have to log in with local account administrator and I have to change settings. Okay, 50. What about 100 computers? 200 computers, 500 computers. Can you go to the 500 computers to change some settings? It is very difficult. We can go, or maybe you can create your own team. Like you can hire some 10 members under you. And I told them go to each and every computer and do these settings. Okay, you are senior and you have a 10 juniors, all 10 juniors have to do the war fighting. So go to each and every computer, log in as a local administrator and go to the firewall and change the settings. But practical, it is not that much easy. It is difficult. Lesser the computers, you don't require any centralization to resolve that issues. Okay. So more computers, it's difficult to manage. Less computers, easy to manage. But more computers, more devices, it's difficult to manage. Okay. So here I told three challenges. Here it is. So each and every user you create, there are a local users. Local user, either administrator account or a standard account it is. These users compulsory log into their PCs only. They cannot log into other PCs. If they want to log into other PCs, their account also should be added to other PCs. Like I have to add the Kalyan here, Miran here, and Preeti here, like this. Preeti is also here, and Sahil is also here, and Sahil is also here. Like that, I have to add these user accounts. Because we don't know when people will come first serve, or maybe one system is down, so they have to log into a system and they have to work. So their system is required, no? So they have to required to log into a system. Again, you have to add their accounts. You want to do some certain change settings, you have to go to each and every system and log in as a local administrator and change the settings. If more number of devices, it's difficult to manage. This is the main points of problems with a work group model. So this model is work group model. What is a work group model? Decentralized administration. Okay, decentralized administration. What is decentralized administration? Each and every PC managed individually. Decentralized administration means each and every computer manages individually, authenticate individually, manages individually. Like a Kalyan system, PCA is only Kalyan can able to log in. Kalyan is authenticated by PCA only. And in that PCA administrator account, local administrator account, with that one only you can able to change the settings. Okay. So that is a work group. What is a work group? Decentralized administration. All are individual pieces connected in the network. All are individual pieces connected in the network. All are individual pieces connected in the network, and each PC has their own local administrator, local users use the computer. A user cannot log into one PC user account, cannot log into another PC's. User password settings information stored in their own PCs. Okay. The local PC itself, that PC itself authenticate users. Okay. Authenticate and authorize the users. There is no centralized control. It is decentralized administration. So we don't use any centralized control. Every PC has their own administrator account. You can control individually, or you can control or manage individually, not centrally, because there is no centralized control here. More number of PCs or systems are increases, it's difficult to manage. It is difficult to manage. So this is called work group, guys. Group of systems working, connected in the network, and it is decentralized administration, means each and every PC has their own local administrator and local users. Authentication, authorization happened by with that PCs only. Understand, guys, what is work group?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then we go to the domain. Very good. So you have a domain. Domain means it is just a name, like a this is my domain, means there is a group of computers, users, resources comes under one single namespace. Simply say computers, users, groups, resources, services comes under one single namespace. That is called a domain. Also, you can say a logical administrative boundary of users and computers, resources, and services. So here it is, a group of computers are connected in the network. But in this model, there is a centralized server is there. Centralized server is there called a domain controller. Okay. What is the domain controller? Domain controller is a server. Okay. Domain controller is nothing but a server. What is this? Domain controller contains a database. Domain controller contains a database. Domain controller contains a database. In the database, you have users, computer information, domain user information, domain computer information, resources information, resource information are there. Users, groups, computers, resources, and service information stored in this database. And this domain controller also do authentication. This okay. We have a computers like a C1, C2, C3, C4, this is C5, and finally C6. Okay. So what I have done, these are initially individual computers, they joined into the domain. For example, C1 join into the domain. How it will join the domain, I will show you. For example, I have a domain, domain name is there. Okay. So I'll go to about your PC. Rename this PC, or you can use system protection advanced settings also. Okay, in your computer, because your computers, your laptops, guys, maybe it is workgroup PCs. Sorry. It is workgroup PCs, definitely. My laptop is, my physical laptop is a, domain PC. Okay, your PC is workgroup PC, but Windows 10 or Windows 11 Home Edition. Mine is Pro Edition. You can see this is Pro Edition. Pro Edition systems has this option. Rename this PC Advanced. Home Edition, Windows 10 Home or Windows 11 Home do not have this option. Rename this PC option. You want to do rename, this is a rename only, not advanced option. Okay. If you click on this one, it will show this computer name, change. Here it is computer name, and you are in the work group. And you can click on the change, then you can see, you can change your computer name also. You can see the computer name, you can change the computer name, you can change the domain name and work group also. Okay. Just in case, if you don't find this, rename this PC in your laptop or desktop, you can go to any of these two options. System protection or advanced system settings. I'm going to advanced system settings. System properties only open, but advanced tab. So go to the system computer names tab. See it is. When you click this one, this tab is open and go to the computer name. If you click on this system protection, it will open this tab and you can go to the computer name. That's only, not a big deal. Okay. So then you can check it. What is my computer name? And I am workgroup PC. So this computer is in the workgroup. Means whatever the user is a local user only, and the user information stores in my PC only. If someone want to access my computer, I have to add their user account. I have to add their user account. I will show you that one. Go to the home. Okay, go to the accounts department. So I clicked on accounts, but still not responded. It is came. First of all, it is showing my account. My account is local account and administrator. For example, my brother is came, or maybe my nephew is came, or my sister is came, and he want to access my computer. So what I have to do? I have to go to family and others. Okay. Not only me, other person can also access. So I will go to the family and others accounts, family and others, add someone else to do this PC. Already one account is already there. So I will add their account name also here. Okay. So first of all, it will ask for a Microsoft account logins. So you can skip that option. I do not have this person sign in option. So I'm not adding any Microsoft accounts. Guys, I'm using a virtual machine. Mainly in the virtual machine, never add any Microsoft accounts. Okay. Of course, you don't use it currently. If anybody want to learn how to go with how to use these kind of virtual machines, either VMware workstation or virtual box, how to do it, installation, or maybe how to create a how to create one virtual machine installing OS, either it is Windows OS or Linux OS. Okay, you can ask me, either I will show you directly or maybe I will go to this one without Microsoft account. Okay, I can show you like for any practice, you can do it. And of course, I have a well started videos also available. Okay, so I can able to add some user account like maybe it is another one student dev 3. Okay, and enter the password and click next. So automatically this user account will be added. By default, this user is become a standard user. Standard user. The user account will be added. So the user can able to access with Dev3. Okay. So I'm not adding really, just I'm showing how to add it. Okay, already I have one account is there. Okay. So I'm a main user, and if someone want to access, so I can add other users to my computer so they can log in. After I log out, they can log in, they can access the computer. Okay, they can access the applications and they can access the documents. And certain things has required a additional permission from the administrator account. Other than that, they can do everything. But all these accounts store in the PC locally. Why it is? Again, my computer is Workgroup PC. Why it is very slow now? Maybe it is updating. Okay. So I'm showing again. So why? Because it is Workgroup PC. So it is individual PC. It don't depends upon any centralized system, centralized control is not there on this PC. If you want to join to a domain, then you have to go to member of domain and give the domain name. For example, my domain name is contoso.com. So then I will type member of domain, domain name, click OK. Request go to the domain controller and you should give domain controller administrator name and the password to join this workgroup PC to the domain. Once you join this workgroup PC to the domain, then this PC we call it as domain computer. Domain computer. In the domain controller, the information will be noted. Okay. So like that, in the PC1, the C1, you can join to the domain controller. So what happened? So this is earlier workgroup PC. Now it is a member of the domain. If it is a member of the domain, then in the database, your computer information will be here. And now it is, you are a member of domain, not a member of workgroup. And there is a domain namespace is also there. For example, here it is contoso.com is my domain name, for example. Okay. And c1.contoso.com, that name will shows like this as a FQDN. Guys, understand this part, like joining to the domain means, joining to the domain means initially you are in a work group, then you go to the uh, your about your computer, rename this PC. So change member of domain and give the domain name. Then you will be joined to the domain. So your PC is a member of the domain. It means it's a domain computer. Understand that part, guys.
Yes, sir.
So I joined
Yes,
C1.
sir.
Very good. Very good. Okay. I joined C1, C2, C3, C4, C5 computers into the domain. So C1, C2, C3, C4, C5 are domain computer. So once you join in the domain database, in the domain controller database, that information will be stored. Okay. Hmm. Next, users. I add a users into the domain. I add users into the domain. I add a domain. I add users in the domain only. I'm not adding users to the domain computers or a computer side. I'm not adding any users to the computers. Just I add users in the server. Sorry, 1 second. Amma. Achipamma. Sorry. Okay, so users are added in the domain controller only, not in the computers. So these users can log into any of the domain computer, any of the domain computer. They can log in. So, for example, the user one login to the C1. The user one is called a domain user. C1 is a domain computer. So, the users of the domain users can log into any of the domain computers. So, you don't require to create user accounts in each and every computer. Earlier, we create user accounts in each and every computer plus additional accounts if in case other users maybe log in. But here it is, users can be log into any of the domain computers without any restrictions. You can create restrictions, otherwise directly they can log in. So one day they log into like this, okay. Next day play the login. Like here it is user 7 is login, user 6 is login in the next shift, user 5 is login here, user 1 is login here, user 2 login here, like that. So it is not required to be create a users into the local computer. It is simple. The users are created directly in the domain controller so they can log into any domain computer. Understand that kind of point, guys, because so many lines, only 2 lines I told 2, 3 times. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
very. So user one log into the C1, but user one details are not in the C1. Where is the user one details? In the domain controller only. So what happened? The request will go to the domain controller for authentication of user one. Verify user account, user one, and the password. If it is correct, and the domain controller will give a authentication token. Yes, this user is authenticated. Now he is authorized to access the C1. So who is giving authentication and authorization here? Is a domain controller. How it is possible? Because the user and user name, password information is in the domain controller database only. Okay, not in the domain computer. Okay, so user to log into C2. Again, the request go to the domain controller and authenticated by domain controller, and then user to can able to access C2. Okay, so users are not local, users are centralized users are there. Okay, domain users, not local users. And of course, this domain controller has a administrator accounts also there. They have a admin account is also there. Who is this admin account? Domain admin. This domain admin account is administrator of all the computers. If any user is a domain administrator or there is a administrator account, is a administrator of all computers. So no need to check their local administrator account. Just take the domain administrator account and you can log into any domain computer to do any settings, changes, or application installation locally. You can do it with the help of domain administrator account. Point number 2. Okay. So small question. So can I log in with a user 6 in C6 or not? Can I log into this computer or not using user 6 or not? Based on this diagram. Anybody? Try to think yes or no, no problem. Very simple. User 6 is there?
Yes, sir.
There. But C6 is here? Not there, no? C6 is not
No.
here. So C6 is not a member of domain. C6 is not a member of domain. Not in our domain. We don't know about C6. Our domain control don't know about C6. It's not part of our domain. Maybe it is a workgroup PC, maybe it is belongs to another domain. But it is in the same network. But it is in the same network. So obviously the C6 is the user 6 cannot access, cannot log into C6. Why? Because it's not in our domain. It is there in the network, but not in the domain. That's why the domain, the abbreviation of like that, what is a domain or AD domain means it is a logical administrative boundary of users and computers, groups, resources. It's a logical administrative boundary of users and computers. That is enough. And as I said, resources means, for example, you can add your network printer. P1. Network, sorry, Network printer name is P1. Now it is a part of domain. So it is shows that resources name is like this. Okay. So I didn't add the groups and services. So like we can say groups. Okay. Like a group like a G1 group. The group contains group members are can be users or a computers. Group members are can be users or a computers. Okay. Yeah. The point. So what I told, domain computers, domain user, authentication by domain controller, database of domain contains users, computers, resources, groups, and service information. Devices can be in the same network if not in the same domain. So that is not part of our domain because the domain means logical administrative boundary of users and computers and resources, groups, services. Okay. And here also we told one point. What is it is? If I want to do any settings in the workgroup PCs, how to log into each and every computer and do the setting, right? It can be a control panel setting, a desktop setting, or it can be a network related setting, or maybe it is some policy it is, okay? Application related setting, okay? So I have to go to each and every computer to do it. But this is a domain controller, means centralized administration. So what I will do it, I'll create group policy. I'll create a group policy. Example, I create a group policy number 1. In this policy is like a for a firewall setting. I create a group policy in my domain controller and I make some firewall setting there. Okay, firewall settings related setting I have done. And this policy is applied on the all the group, all the domain computers and users. Okay. So simple, I don't need to go to each and every computer to do the setting. I create a settings in my group policies and I update the policy. I link the policy in the domain controller where it should be applied and it is applied on those users and computers. Okay. In that one, so maybe there is 100 computers, 200 users. These settings will be applicable on them. Okay. So that is simple, not required to each and every computer. 100 computers, you don't have to go. Simply do the setting, link the setting, apply the setting, and it will be applicable. Okay. So maybe, for example, if your organization requires some desktop related setting. On the desktop, icons should not be created. Okay. So it is a desktop related setting, the desktop wallpaper, or maybe, I put a lot of data on my desktop. It is not good for a computer or a organization. So what I have to do? There it is. I create a desktop setting. Users must follow this desktop background and users should not create any data on the desktop. No shortcuts, no data. Mainly data should not be created on the desktop. So I created that setting and applied the setting on the in a domain controller. I create a setting. I link the setting to a specific group of computers or users like a OU it is there. So we'll apply the setting. Then this hundreds of computers, 200 computers, 300 computers, how many are there? There are affected with the policy. You don't need to go to each and every device and do the setting. Okay. So these settings will applicable directly on the each and every computer within the domain. It won't apply on the C6. Why? Because it's not a part of domain. It can be applied on the front users. Guys, understand this part?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what happened? Here it is. Yeah, domain is a centralized administration. Centralized administration. There is a centralized controller called a domain controller. There is a centralized controller called a domain controller. Formula status. Hello? Yeah, tell me. So today is not at all a good day for me. The small topic I'm telling my story and meanwhile different calls. Hello, guys, are you there?
Yeah, yeah, sir. Yeah, sir. We are
Okay,
there.
okay.
No problem, sir. Please continue.
So I will finish this topic and tomorrow I will tell about this Act 2 directory with an examples. Like I have a two servers. I have actually you can see this is not at all required, but if you see this side. See, this is my server, this is a client. So I will show you like how to add a user in the server and how to access from the client. Like that, I can able to show you. Okay. So tomorrow I will show you that one.
Yes.
Today we will understand this,
Yes.
what is this domain part. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So because it's already 5 o'clock. So centralized administration, what is a domain means centralized administration and there is a centralized controller is there. In the domain, we have a centralized controller. That is our domain controller, which is nothing but a server. So what is this server contains? Is a database of this domain users, groups, computers, resources, information stored in this database. Okay. So the domain controller contains a database. Plus the domain controller authenticate users when they log into the domain computers. Okay. So we have a domain administrator also. The domain administrator is an administrator for all the entire domain things like like all the domain computers. Administrator is domain control administrator only, no separate administrator. Okay. And we can enforce various type of settings to the large number of computers, like 100 computers, 200 computers. We can enforce different types of network related, storage related, application related, okay, settings we can enforce to the large number of computers and users using group policies. That is the main benefit of why we need a domain or a domain controller environment. This is because of this group policies, centralized administration. If you have a 10 computers, 20 computers, you don't require any domain controller. You have to go and each and every computer, check it whether there are users are able to log in, password settings and user local policy settings. You can do it. Settings, everything you can do it. Okay. But large number of computers, you can able to administrate centrally with the possibility with domain controller only. Okay. Domain user can log into any domain computer. Here I have written a note like a work group notes and domain notes, like a I took a names and access kind of stuff like this. So domain user information means username, passwords stores in the domain controller. So computers join into domain called a domain computers. Users in the domain called a domain users. Users in the domain called domain users. Domain users can log into their any domain computers. Domain users can log into their any domain computers they can log in by default. If you do some restrictions, then the restrictions will be applied. Okay. Domain account, domain admin account is an administrator for all the domain. So here it is I highlighted. Domain user log into domain computer, the domain controller authenticate that user. Like a, I'm a domain user. For my physical laptop, I'm a domain user. Okay. When I'm trying to log into this account, when I'm trying to log into this account in this computer, request go to my domain controller. There it is authenticated and tell to my computer he is authenticated user and he is allowed to access his computer so I can able to access. Okay. So domain user log into domain computer. The domain controller authenticate that user. Authentication and authorization by domain controller only. What is a domain? Means a logical administrative boundary of users and computers. So this picture shows to check, are you in the domain or in a work group? Your PC is in the work group or a domain. So it is in the work group. If you are in the domain, it shows you are in the domain. This is for adding a user to the domain kind of stuff. Adding user to the domain, that is part. Okay, nothing is there. I will show my computer. I'm in the domain. I clicked it and it is open. Now it is so many times it is open. Okay. Yeah, which is see, can you see here it is? Rename this PC. So I'm in the domain. Can you see? I'm in the domain. Member of, automatically can see member of domain. This is important. I'm in a domain. Okay. So we can take a simple snipping is enough. The system is also become slow suddenly. We have to reduce the size. Now, but increase the size. Okay. So can you able to see, guys? It is in the domain. How to write on this one? Okay. So this is in the domain. So if you click on change, it will shows it is a member of domain. It is a member of a domain. So my PC is in the domain. It means who is my what is my domain? 70s.com. So my computer is member of this domain. So my user account is authenticated by that domain. This one is workgroup PC. I said now this is getting updated. That's why it is showing like that. Okay. So this is workgroup and domain. So there is a one more point is about like after this is a active directory. About what is an active directory. There I will show what is this domain and active directory. So how a domain controller become a domain controller. Domain controller, as I said, it is a server. A server become a domain controller. Why? Because of you install a active directory services inside. And earlier 2000 means at the time of 2000 server and 2003 server, the service name is Active Directory Service. You install Active Directory Service and it is become a domain controller. In 2008 onwards, that Active Directory name changed to Active Directory Domain Services. Still a lot of people will try to confuse the people like what is AD, what is ADDS. There is no difference. In olden days, it is AD, then it is become ADDS. Why it is become ADDS? Because AD dependent services are there. Okay. So in 2008 server onwards, we call the AD as a ADDS, Active Directory Domain Services. Okay. So if we install and configure this AD Active Directory or Active Directory Domain Services in the server, in Windows Server, it becomes domain controller. So what is the duty of domain controller? To maintain the database of domains, related database used in the domain. Who are there? Users, groups, computers, services, and resources. These information in the database. And domain controller second duty is authenticate users, authenticate and authorize the users when they log in or accessing any domain resources. Like they log into the computer, they're accessing the printer, so they are doing it. Same domain concept only, that is bold base concept. So this is how a server become a domain controller. How a server become a domain controller by installing
Act- Active Directory.
Active Directory. Very good. By installing Active Directory service or Active Directory domain services. Yeah, you may get out, sir. Which server? Windows server only, because it's a Microsoft proprietary one. Active Directory concept is Microsoft proprietary. Okay. So it is a in Microsoft service. In 2000, Active Directory is introduced. Earlier also it is there. That is not Active Directory. That is only domain and domain controller concept is there. In 2000, Active Directory infrastructure is introduced. Like this, Active Directory infrastructure contains about a forest, this kind of stuff. Okay, I will explain that simple later, but easy to understand. Anyway, we understand what is domain and domain controller. To make a server as a domain controller, if you want to make a server as a domain controller, so you have to, that is a server is Windows server. You want to make it as a domain controller, install Active Directory services or Active Directory domain services. Now it is 2019 server, 2022 server. So which one is Active Directory domain services we install and configure it as a domain controller. So that Active Directory domain services, domain Active Directory services are two. One is databases, second one is authentication and authorization. What is Active Directory database? Stores identity of users, groups, computers, services, and resources. Authentication means it authenticate and authorize users when they log into the domain controller and they're accessing domain computers and domain resources. Name of Active Directory database. Name of the Active Directory database is ntds.dit. New Technology Directory Service, Directory Information Tree. Active Directory use two protocols to authenticate users. One is Kerberos protocol, another one is LDAP protocol. Okay, Kerberos 88, LDAP 389. Okay, this domain concept before 2000 is also there. So that time is little bit different. There in a Windows NT server, we have a domain controller concept is there. So there we call the domain controller. The database name is SAM database. The authentication is NTLM authentication. Authentication protocol is NTLM authentication. The database name is SAM database. So that time we call it as a PDC, BDC concept are there. So now we have a Active Directory. So in the Active Directory also, but Active Directory database, there it is SAM database. Okay. So this Active Directory actually different architecture. Anyway, we are there, but practical I will show you tomorrow. This is become very dead slow. Why this much slow it is? Now it is working. Okay. So guys, this represent domain. Right. This represent, the triangle represent domain. Okay. And this is the box represent domain controller. So in a one domain, at least we required two domain controllers. why we needed two domain controllers in the single domain? Okay, means two servers are required. So why we require two servers? If one of the servers failed, so user authentication is important, right? I came to office in morning and then I have to authenticate. Okay, then only I can access my computer. Okay, so if domain controller is failed early morning, now 8 o'clock only domain controller is down. User came into morning, 9 o'clock, 9:30, people start login, no working. Okay, so per day it's a billing time, right? So it is danger. So what I have to do? I put a backup domain controller. If in case domain controller is failed, the backup domain controller will authenticate user. Second, more number of users are came. Okay. So till 9 o'clock, 10 to 9, 9, 9:05, 9:15, very slowly come. 9:25, 9:30, 9:29, full rush, right? Full people come. Almost all everybody is in the queue line. Okay, everybody try to log in. So same way, people came to office by 9:30, 9:35. They started their computers and try to log in. So more number of requests, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, more number of requests to the domain controller for authentication. So, but how it is? One server may not be handle every traffic. One server may not able to handle all the traffic. So what it will do? It will to load the balance. We have to balance the load. Think like this, you have only one counter. You went to in a weekend. Okay, think like if you went to any shopping malls like a D-Mart, okay, D-Mart, Walmart, shops are came now, right? So every place now these D-Marts are came. Okay, so if you go to weekend, okay, and only one billing counter is there. So you went at 5 o'clock. So when you will come out, you never come out next day morning only. Okay, because one counter cannot handle all the traffic. So what they will do it? They will open all the counters, 10 counters. So why? Because to balance the load. The same way we deploy multiple servers to balance the load. Multiple people are logging at a time. So one server cannot able to handle the traffic. So what we do? We deploy multiple servers to balance the load. So there is a two concept. One is load balancing, another one is failover. What is the load balancing? More traffic, more traffic,
Distribution of traffic.
yes, to balance or to reduce the burden on individual servers, individual nodes or hosts. We distribute the traffic to requests or traffics to other servers in the cluster. In the cluster, we create a cluster, load balancing cluster, we do it. Failover. If one of the server is failed, other server will provide service. Even one of the service fail, another server provide a service. When I was, I'm not talking about recent years, but it's a little older years. Okay. We went to the bank and they said, server is busy, server is down, come back tomorrow. That situation is slowly reducing now. Because the backend service management, they plan for a more load balances, failovers. If one link is failed, other link will be provided service like that. Okay. So every domain required two domain controllers. So minimum two domain. Why it is? Because if one of the domain controller is down, other domain controller authenticate users. If more traffic is generated, they will balance the load between these two domain controllers. Okay, no problem. Here it is. One more addition because good, very good. You understand, guys. That is the first thing. For everyone, the favorite company is always Tata. I'll start with the Tata company. So when Tata company is created, they create a tata.com business, tata.com organization. So they have their tata.com domain and domain controllers. And Tata also increase their businesses, right? So different organizations from the same Tata business only, same Tata. Okay. For example, Tata Steel, Tata Steel.com. Okay. Another Tata. So we'll go to TCS. Okay. Like TCS. Okay. TCS.com. Okay. So different organizations, not one. So they have a lot of businesses are there. Now, what happened in between the businesses? They need Vistara is it's their airline. Okay. So I written four. I can add more like a Tata Telecom, Tata Electrical, like so many are there. Okay. So what happened? You have to. So there is a person who is working in a Tata. So want to access this Tata Steel domains resources. Like they want to access a computer in the here. Okay. You want to test in application here. He has to access a computer here. Okay. So this person has to log in here. This resources, there is a data center here. Should that is a database from TCS should be accessed by this Tata Steel user. How it is? Because this is are all different domains, but are into the same organization. But there are different domains. So they have to create a trusted relationship between them to access their resources. So they have to create a trusted relation between these domains. Okay. If two are there, no problem. If three are there, maybe you can try. Four are there, little difficult. Okay. It is little difficult. So what happened here? So you have to create a lot of trust relation between the domains. Some are one way, some are two way, depends upon the requirement. See, this is become more confusing for the people who are maintaining different organizations for one single enterprise. This is entirely one enterprise, but different organizations. Okay, it become more headache. So in a Windows NT, this is the problem they faced. In PDC, BDC, the trusted relationship headache is there. So then in 2000 server, Microsoft designed Active Directory architecture. So Active Directory architecture is like this. This is the forest. This is the forest. What is meant by forest? Forest means an enterprise. Forest means enterprise. It means, for example, your Tata is an organization. Tata is a now not an organization. It is a enterprise. It comes with a different organizations inside. So when Tata started, so the enterprise has to be started, right? The enterprise has to be started. It's a root enterprise has to be started. First one is the root domain is created. That is a tata.com in the forest. Once it is created, tata.com forest is created. Tata.com forest is created. So root is created. This is a root domain. This is a root domain. When you create a root domain, the enterprise is created. It means forest is created. Under that, there is a different organizations come up. within the forest, inside the forest. For example, TCS. Okay. Or TataSteel.com. Okay. So, TCS is also in Hyderabad, right? TCS is also in Hyderabad. For example, I create hyd.tcs. Okay. So the main organizations under the forest, so they call it as the trees. So this is tree domain. This is tree domain. What is meant by tree domain? Individual organizations under a single forest. And in under any domain, either under the root or under the tree, so we can create a child domains. What is a child domain? The child domain has a parent domain. It can be a tree or a root domain. And every domain has its their own domain controller and domain users, groups, computers, and resources. So this is our AD architecture. So automatically, under the single forest, all the domains are trust each other. So you don't require to create trust relationship. It is automatically trust each other. Okay. Like your here, you have to create a trust relation between the organizations in the same enterprise. Here, the enterprise means itself is a forest. Inside a forest, you create a organizations like a domain trees, and those all are trust each other. And it provides a security boundary. It does not allow any other forest objects like users, groups, computers from other forest. It does not allow directly. It requires a trust relation between them. If you want, for example, Reliance also wants some of the resources of Tata. So there is another forest. Reliance forest is different. Tata forest is different. They have to create the relation between this particular point to point. Other than that one, it is provide a security boundary between the users, computers who are in the forest. Okay. So this is Active Directory architecture. Guys, understand what is Active Directory architecture and why it is there is compared to this one.
Yes, sir.
Very good. So why this AD become ADDS? The last point, why AD become ADDS? Guys, in 2008, for entire forest purpose, there is a different AD services are came. So AD CS, certification service, Active Directory based certification service. So that's why it is ADCS. AD, RMS. So different services are increased. Earlier, different organizations are increased. Then AD came. Earlier, single organization. Later, multiple organization under single enterprise. Then AD resolved the solution by giving the AD architecture like a forest, tree, and child. But in 2008, we have different services are increased. ADCS, ADRMS, ADD, ADLDS, okay, ADFS, Federation Service, ADDS. Like this, the 5 services are came. It's Active Directory related services. Then we cannot say Active Directory and other services like that. We are not splitting because all depends upon Active Directory schema only. All these services runs on the Active Directory schema only. So there are 5 services of Active Directory. service. So services increases, then AD become ADDS. So only AD and ADDS both are same. From Windows Server 2008, the services name is changed. Okay, that's the point. Got freezed. This got freezed or no? Okay, so this is Active Directory. I written a last notes, that is to add a client PC to the domain. You want to add a PC to domain, make sure that your PC is not home edition. It should be pro or enterprise edition, and both should be are in the same network, and they should be communicate each other. So that's the point I added. So okay, that's 5:30. Yeah, that's a good guys.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
sir.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. So tomorrow definitely I will show is shut down or not shut down. Not shut down. I think I put a update and restart, right? I will shut down. Okay. So tomorrow, so definitely I will show the server. I will add, if possible, like still if it is still working, I will add a user account in the server. Then I log into the client with that account. So that is what I'm trying to show you. So then you will get a clarity, and I will show the how group policies are affecting the client. So that is also I will try to show. Then we will discuss about a DHCP and the DNS.
Okay, sir.
Okay, that's it for today, guys.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Thank you.
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.